Welcome to the Weekly Bloom. I'm Rose.
And I am Paul. This is your weekly news podcast on technology and other relevant subjects.
It feels like the AI landscape is just shifting under our feet almost daily, doesn't it?
It really does.
Keeping up with, the really significant developments, it can feel like a full-time job sometimes.
Absolutely.
And that's precisely why we're here. We try to be your curated shortcut to understanding what genuinely matters in the world of AI.
Yeah, our goal today is really to cut through some of the noise, the hype, and give you a clear understanding of, well, 3 pivotal trends that seem to be shaping the future of AI based on the latest info we've got.
Exactly. We've sifted through the sources to bring you insights into how AI access is expanding. That's one thing.
Right.
Then the increasing capabilities of AI agents, what they can do, and also this exciting move towards truly personalized AI experiences. So, yeah, maybe prepare for some aha moments as we dig into these shifts.
And what's particularly compelling, I think, is how these 3 areas, broader access, more agency for the AI, and that individual customization they're starting to weave together. It's creating this richer, more impactful AI ecosystem.
Okay, let's dive right into that first area then. And this involves a pretty fascinating collaboration that's been making headlines. The partnership between OpenAI and the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, the UAE has clearly signaled that AI is a major strategic priority for them. And this recent hookup with OpenAI, it's a really bold step towards making those advanced AI capabilities widely available within their nation.
The big headline here, the one grabbing attention, is that the UAE is set to be the first country to offer free ChatGPT Plus subscriptions to all its residents. And that starts May 27th, 2025.
Wow.
That feels like a real turning point, and how a whole nation approaches AI access.
It certainly does. I mean, think about it. That $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus, it's maybe not exorbitant for everyone, but it is a barrier for a lot of people. So offering it nationwide like this, that could unlock access to GPT-4, faster responses, priority access for a huge chunk of the population.
And the ambition here, it goes beyond just giving away free software, right? It seems like it's really about cultivating widespread AI understanding, engagement.
Exactly.
Imagine students, entrepreneurs, professionals suddenly having this powerful tool just there at their fingertips. The hope, I guess, is that this really sparks innovation, builds a strong base of AI literacy.
Precisely. The aim seems to be for UAE citizens to become active participants in this AI revolution, not just, passive consumers. And this level of access, it could act as a kind of unique test bed. We can see how widespread AI adoption at a national level actually impacts different sectors, education, the economy, everything.
Yeah, it's like a massive real-world experiment.
It really is. And you can bet other nations will be watching this very closely, thinking about policy implications.
For me, just the sheer scale of it is striking. Giving that level of access to an entire nation, it feels like it could set a global benchmark.
Potentially, yeah.
You can easily see other countries thinking, maybe we should do something similar to lift their own population's AI capabilities.
Right.
Okay, so this push for widespread access for individuals, that also needs some serious muscle behind it, some infrastructure to support it all.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to the next piece of this puzzle, the Stargate UAE project.
Yes. Complementing this push for democratized access is Stargate UAE. It's this massive 1 gigawatt AI data center being built in Abu Dhabi.
A gigawatt.
Eventually, yeah. The initial phase is 200 megawatts, slated for 2026. But just to put that in perspective,
okay,
a typical big corporate data center might use, tens of megawatts? A gigawatt is just a whole different league. It really shows the kind of computational power the UAE is aiming for.
Yeah, huge. Doesn't even seem to cover it. And what's really noteworthy here is that this is being described as OpenAI's, quote, first international deployment of their frontier-scale AI infrastructure.
That frontier-scale part is key.
Right. This is the really advanced computing stuff needed to train and run the cutting-edge AI models. And crucially, this project is being done in close coordination with the U.S. government.
That coordination piece is critical. It really underscores a strategic alignment happening between the two nations.
Right.
This isn't just about building a giant data center. It's about strengthening technological foundations, both inside the U.S. and with key partners like the UAE. It's a strategic balancing act, nurturing domestic AI strength while also fostering international collaboration in this vital tech area.
Right. So the UAE isn't just looking to use AI. They genuinely want to be a global hub for developing it, deploying it.
Seems that way.
Stargate UAE really underlines that ambition, and we're talking about a dual investment strategy here, right? The UAE builds this massive cluster, and in return, they invest in U.S. Stargate infrastructure.
Yeah, a reciprocal arrangement. And look at the partners involved: G42, Oracle, NVIDIA, Cisco, SoftBank.
Wow, yeah. That's basically a who's who of the tech world.
Exactly. And what's also really interesting is the projected reach of this infrastructure. They're talking a 2,000-mile radius,
2,000 miles.
which could potentially cover half the world's population.
Okay, that's significant.
It's a massive footprint.
Yeah.
And the plan uses across key sectors in the UAE government: energy, healthcare, education, transport, or religion. It just highlights how strategically important they see this infrastructure being.
So if we kind of zoom out and connect this to the bigger picture, it really does feel like AI is rapidly moving beyond just being a tech trend. It's becoming a serious tool for geopolitical strategy, almost like a form of soft power.
I think that's exactly right. The UAE's deliberate positioning here, becoming a global AI leader, combined with this strategic link up with the U.S. under this OpenAI for countries idea, it sends a really clear signal: access to advanced AI and the infrastructure behind it. These are becoming core elements of national influence in the 21st century.
And when you put the two pieces together, the nationwide free ChatGPT Plus access and this massive Stargate UAE infrastructure investment, you really get a sense of a very comprehensive, very forward-thinking national AI strategy.
Yeah, they don't feel like separate initiatives.
No, they seem very deliberately connected.
And this integrated approach, broad public access to build up human capital, alongside really robust infrastructure for the advanced stuff, it could absolutely serve as a potential blueprint for other nations looking to build their own AI ecosystems and, frankly, compete globally.
Okay, let's pivot now. Let's shift to our second area of focus today.
Yeah.
This involves some really fascinating progress from Anthropic and the emergence of what we're calling Agentic AI, particularly through their Model Context Protocol, or MCP, servers.
Right. This is where AI starts to move beyond just, understanding and generating text or images. It starts actively interacting with the real world, or at least the digital world, by connecting with other tools and services. Anthropic's work on MCP is a really significant step towards making that happen.
Okay, so these remote MCP servers, what are they exactly? What makes them stand out?
Well, think of them basically as third-party services that developers can connect Anthropic's AI, Claude, to. They use Anthropic's MCP connector API to do this.
Third party.
Yeah, and that's a crucial point. These servers are not owned, operated, or even endorsed by Anthropic itself.
Ah, okay.
Which points to this really interesting kind of decentralized way of expanding AI capabilities. It's almost like setting up a marketplace of specialized tools that Claude can potentially tap into.
That's an interesting way to put it, a marketplace. But with that decentralized model, does that bring up any potential issues, considerations, things developers or users need to watch out for?
Oh, absolutely. With decentralization comes this critical need for caution. Users, developers, they have to carefully check out and, frankly, trust the security practices and the terms of service for each individual remote MCP server they decide to connect to.
Right.
It's a bit like being really selective about which third-party apps you give access to your sensitive data on your phone.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. So how does this MCP connector actually work then? What makes it such a step forward?
Well, the real power, I think, is in how seamlessly it integrates things. The MCP connector, built into the Anthropic API, lets developers link Claude to these remote servers without having to write reams of custom code for each connection.
Okay.
The API handles a lot of the tricky stuff underneath, managing the connection itself, figuring out what tools are even available on a server.
Tool discovery, right.
Yeah, and then reasoning about which tool is right for a given task, how to use it, managing the actual execution, handling authentication, even dealing with errors if they pop up.
Wow, okay. That sounds like it removes a lot of complexity for developers.
Exactly.
So instead of getting bogged down in the plumbing, the technical details of connecting system A to system B, they can focus more on designing the intelligence, the functionality of their AI agent.
Precisely. It significantly lowers the barrier to entry for creating these kinds of tool-enabled AI agents. It lets Claude stretch its legs, functionally speaking, beyond just conversation. It can now interact with this much wider range of external software and services to actually do things.
And we're already seeing this ecosystem of remote MCP servers starting to grow, offering integrations with lots of different widely used tools.
That's right. We're seeing connections pop up with project management platforms like Asana, collaboration tools like Atlassian, even security services like Cloudflare.
Okay.
For customer interactions, there's Intercom. For making video creation easier, in video. For tracking issues, Linear. We're also seeing integrations with commerce platforms like PayPal, access to financial data via Plaid, even payment and inventory management through Square APIs are starting to appear.
That's already a pretty broad set of tools.
And it gets even broader when you look at workflow automation platforms, like Workato, which can tap into a huge number of different applications,
Right.
and Zapier, which connects to literally thousands, something like 8,000 apps.
Wow.
The key benefit here is that developers can just leverage these ready-made integrations. They don't have to build custom solutions for every single tool they want Claude to talk to.
So the bigger picture implication here, it feels like a real evolution in AI's role, moving from being mostly a conversational partner to becoming something more proactive, more autonomous, capable of taking actual tangible actions in the world.
Exactly that. The development of standardized protocols like MCP and the growth of this whole ecosystem of third-party integrations,
Yeah.
these are key drivers pushing that transformation forward. It's really paving the way for AI assistants that can handle much more complex multi-step workflows across all sorts of different areas.
And you mentioned earlier the fact that these are third-party servers introduces some interesting wrinkles around trust and security.
Right.
How can developers or even end users effectively navigate that, assess the risks, mitigate them? Are there best practices emerging yet?
That's a really critical question. And honestly, it's still evolving. As this decentralized model matures, we're going to need robust ways to evaluate the security and reliability of these third-party servers.
Okay.
Maybe things like community reviews, security certifications, clearer data usage policies. It's kind of a new frontier in what you might call AI supply chain security.
Interesting term.
Yeah, where the trust needs to extend beyond just the core AI model itself out to this whole ecosystem of services it interacts with. Due diligence becomes really important.
But it does sound like Anthropic's API itself is designed to really simplify things for developers who want to build these kinds of agentic capabilities.
Oh, absolutely. By automating so much of the connection management, the tool discovery, the error handling, Anthropic is essentially turning its API into a powerful platform for AI agent development.
Yeah.
And that kind of mirrors a pattern we've seen in other mature tech ecosystems, doesn't it? Where a central platform orchestrates this diverse range of specialized third-party functions. It helps foster a wider developer community and expands the whole ecosystem's capabilities.
All right, let's move on to our final deep dive section for today. This focuses on how AI is becoming increasingly personalized, and this centers on OpenAI's introduction of actions within their custom GPTs.
Yes, this represents another significant step, this time towards tailoring the power of AI more specifically to individual needs or even organizational needs. OpenAI is definitely moving beyond that one-size-fits-all model towards something much more flexible, more customizable.
So they've shifted away from their initial plugin system, which some people might remember.
Right. Plugins are being phased out for new creations.
And now the focus is on creating these actions inside of a GPT. Can you unpack what that actually means?
Sure. So first, think of GPTs. These are the custom versions of ChatGPT that you can create for very specific tasks or topics. You give them special instructions, maybe load them up with specific knowledge files, define certain capabilities. Now, actions are the mechanism that allows these custom GPTs to talk to the outside world specifically, to interact with external third-party APIs.
APIs being application programming interfaces.
Exactly. Little gateways that let software talk to other software. So an action lets your custom GPT retrieve information from an external service, or maybe even trigger an action using that service.
And they mentioned something about an open API schema.
Right. That's basically a standardized way to describe an API. It's like a blueprint that tells software how to talk to a specific service. The advantage here is that developers can import actions directly from an existing open API schema.
Ah, okay. So for developers who might have worked with plugins before, this sounds like it streamlines the process, makes it easier to connect things up.
Precisely. It simplifies that integration step, making it easier to hook these custom GPTs into external services and expand what they can do in a more standardized fashion.
And we're already seeing some really practical, quite impactful applications of these ChatGPT actions starting to pop up, aren't we?
Absolutely. Take the iEnterprise's ChatGPT connector for Outlook.
Okay.
This lets users automate things like composing email replies, translating messages right there in Outlook, even intelligently spotting details in an email to create new contacts or leads. And it can integrate with popular CRM systems, Salesforce, Zoho, Dynamics, things like that.
Wow, that sounds like a serious efficiency boost for anyone who lives in their inbox.
It really does. Then you have things like the Content Serve ChatGPT connector. This one helps with tasks like getting new product data into systems faster, enriching existing content, automating things like classification, writing product descriptions, extracting keywords.
Data management stuff?
Yeah, mapping data fields, stuff that can be quite tedious. And of course, the Zapier integration is huge.
Right, Zapier connects everything.
It really does. It lets ChatGPT connect to and interact with thousands of other apps. Google Sheets, Gmail, Slack, you name it. You can automate some really complex workflows without needing to write any code yourself.
And it's good to see that some of the capabilities people liked from the old plugins are now finding a home as actions within this new system, right?
Exactly. Tools like WebPilot, which let ChatGPT interact with websites to grab info or rewrite things, and Wolfram for serious math and knowledge base access. Those functionalities are now being integrated through this Actions framework.
What seems particularly interesting, though, is that creating these basic custom GPTs, it sounds like it doesn't require coding skills at all.
That's a key point, yeah.
Right.
It really democratizes the ability to create tailored AI tools.
Right.
It empowers experts in, well, any field, really, even if they don't have a technical background,
Yeah.
to build AI tools specifically for their workflows, their needs.
And who gets to do this? Is it just paying users?
Currently, users on the Plus, Team, and Enterprise plans can create GPTs. Free tier users can use them, but with certain message limits.
Okay. And for businesses, there's this extra layer, right? Creating internal-only GPTs.
Yes, that's a big one for enterprise adoption. Companies can create GPTs just for their internal use, maybe trained on proprietary data for specific departments. And crucially, there are admin controls for managing who can create them and how they're shared.
That sounds incredibly valuable for keeping sensitive data secure while still leveraging AI.
It directly addresses a major concern for businesses wanting to deploy AI safely. It is worth noting, though, that right now, you can only access these custom GPTs through the chatgpt.com website. You can't, embed them directly into your own company website or app. Not yet, anyway.
Gotcha. So overall, this shift towards user-creatable custom GPTs with actions, it really feels like a big step in democratizing AI customization, empowering individuals, organizations, without needing a whole team of software engineers necessarily.
Absolutely. It encourages this long tail of highly specialized AI applications, moving away from the idea of one giant AI that does everything, towards potentially thousands, millions of niche AI tools designed for very specific purposes.
And those real-world examples we talked about, the Outlook connector, Content Serve, Zapier, they really show how AI is becoming more deeply woven into our everyday business tools, almost like an invisible but always-on intelligent layer helping automate tasks.
It really suggests this convergence happening. AI capabilities are becoming just integrated features within the software we already use every day. And that could fundamentally change how we interact with technology, driving a whole new wave of intelligent workflow automation.
But surely this raises some questions too, like when these actions connect to third-party services, potentially accessing or modifying personal info, data governance, privacy, that must be a huge consideration.
Oh, absolutely massive. It's probably one of the most significant challenges. When you have connectors or actions accessing emails, calendars, CRM data, sending information out to third-party services, it necessitates really robust internal policies within organizations. Security audits, clear consent mechanisms for users, all that becomes paramount.
And those internal-only GPTs help address some of that, but maybe not all.
They help control internal data exposure, which is crucial. But managing sensitive data flow in these increasingly interconnected AI ecosystems, that remains an ongoing challenge for everyone involved.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. To summarize our deep dive today, we've really explored three pretty pivotal areas shaping where AI is heading. First, that increased accessibility highlighted by the UAE's, frankly, groundbreaking partnership with OpenAI.
Right, the free plus access in Stargate.
Second, the growing power of agentic AI that can do things facilitated by developments like Anthropic's MCP servers and that growing ecosystem.
Yeah, moving beyond just chat.
And finally, the strong trend towards highly personalized AI experiences enabled by things like OpenAI's custom GPTs and actions.
These developments, taken together, they really underscore the incredibly rapid pace of innovation happening in AI right now.
Yeah, it's breathless sometimes.
And they highlight how AI is really poised to become even more deeply integrated into, well, both our personal and our professional lives.
And digging into this stuff, it really prompts some important questions as we look ahead, doesn't it?
So sure.
What new possibilities open up when AI agents can just seamlessly interact with all the different digital tools we rely on every single day?
The potential for automation there is huge.
And how will this ability for anyone, potentially, to create highly personalized AI assistants, how will that impact our individual productivity? Or maybe even foster completely new kinds of creativity?
Lots to think about, lots to track.
Definitely lots to contemplate.
Indeed. The evolution of AI, it's very much an ongoing story.
Yeah.
And staying informed about these fundamental shifts, well, it's pretty essential for navigating what's coming next.
And that's exactly what we aim to help you do here on the Deep Dive. Thanks so much for joining us as we unpacked these really fascinating developments in the world of artificial intelligence.